Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition. Podcast. Who's ready to podcast? Oh,
Do you need me to give you and Luna a minute?
I didn't realize the podcast was on. The podcast's on, Luna. You ready? Yeah.
Oh, I think Luna's ready.
She has some strong thoughts. Often when she's on the podcast, we end up getting censored and flagged, and they take down. Yeah, Luna, we can't have Luna on the podcast too often because she tends to get us canceled.
Yeah, she really does.
Oh, Luna.
You're a radical pug, aren't you? A radical pug.
Look at that. Very opinionated. Here, we'll get her the full body shot. The full action shot. There she is. There she is, Luna. Oh.
It's like holding up Simba.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, you want to do the full you want to go full
I don't think Luna's gonna let you.
We need to blur that out. Yeah, Luna can't be showing her little doggy bits. All right. Well, now that we've taken care of what we wanted to take care of here on the podcast, welcome to episode 135. Oh, you're so snorty, Luna. My goodness.
It's the spring season. Did you know spring's here, Lars?
I did know that. Spring has sprung officially.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's supposed to come March 21st, but we're about 3 weeks late, and it is beautiful out. Everyone's skipping. People are wearing shorts. People are doffing their hats and saying hello. Patios are abuzz.
Yep.
Have you walked by abuzz patios? There's many.
I've seen a lot of people building patios. So
yes,
that's a
true.
good sign.
Yeah, there's a lot of hustle and bustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like summer's coming. Summer's coming. It's great. Yeah. Oh, there she is. All right, Luna, we got to get on with the podcast, so we're going to let you sleep.
Come on, Luna.
Say goodbye to Luna, everyone.
There's people waiting.
There.
Bye, Luna.
She's waving. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 135. Make sure if you're watching on Facebook right now, smash the share button. Same thing on YouTube. We've got a fantastic guest. Should we just get into it? Should we get into it right away?
Well, do you want to talk about your show? Do you want to talk about your show first?
We'll talk about the show afterwards.
Then let's bring out our guests. I don't want to wait anymore.
Right, which is reason, now that we've teased the show, it's a reason to make sure you stay till the end. Actually, there's a few things we're going to announce at the end. There's lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. So now that we've hooked you in, let's bring on our guest. Our guest is an actor based in Toronto by way of Vancouver Island, Nanaimo, then Montreal, then here. She works in television, film, commercials. She's a beloved member of Actors Audition Club, and she's here on the podcast with her dog today. Please welcome Nitu Thakur.
Yay!
There she is. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's fantastic to see you. Happy spring.
Thanks for being
Yes,
here.
happy spring. This gorgeous Wednesday. So nice.
We've been hounding Nitu to be on the show, and she's always so busy. She's always working. She's always auditioning. And finally, we were able to get her today. So thank you. Yes, and shout out to Martina. Martina was literally in the studio. Was that today? That was today.
This morning. Yeah.
That was this morning. And right now she's down the street on Queen Street here in Toronto at Irish Design House. She works there as a manager, as her day gig, part of her job to get the permanent residency because she's originally from Ireland. Look at this. Look at this. We're connecting people. She
I
told
know,
us
right?
earlier today.
I have many friends, good friends from Ireland. So hello, welcome.
Yeah.
It would have been awkward if you were like, fuck the Irish. You know?
That's it. I'm done. Podcast.
But someone from Ireland, I'm half Irish. I love Ireland. And Irish Design House is a beautiful shop. Brandon and I were just there.
Yeah, we were just there. It was great.
Minutes ago. And we literally told her, she was like, oh, I'll tune into the podcast. And I was like, Martina, we'll give you a plug and we'll plug Irish Design House, even though they're not a sponsor. Yes. But enough about Martina. Let's get to Nitu. Nitu, are you ready for this?
I suppose so. I hope as ready as I can be.
Segment number 1, to get into it, something that we like to call the 1-minute life story. And I'm going to throw the clock on board.
It feels like a commercial audition. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, here it is. All right.
Oh God.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Inside the Audition, episode 135. This is Nitu Thakur's 1-minute life story. Sound speeding, camera rolling, and
hello. Yes. My name is Nitu. I'm originally from Vancouver Island in Nanaimo. I grew up there. I lived in Victoria for a while, where I was planning on going to I did go to university. I was hoping to get a post-bachelorette in education and French. Decided to ditch that and pursue my dream of acting, because I found myself in a place where I could do it. Wasn't tied to anyone. I don't know. I just felt like that was my time. So left school, went to Vancouver, moved over with a roommate, started pursuing that. Then I moved to Montreal, spent a couple of years there, did a few auditions there, came to Toronto, and now I've been in Toronto for almost 6 years now. And I've probably had, I think this is where I've done my most progress as an actor here in Toronto. And I love it here. It's home. What?
It's home. I love it.
Seconds to spare. Ding, 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 ding. That was Nitu Thakur's 1-minute life story. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's all that pressure. It's that commercial work where it's like, okay, now tell us something in 30 seconds of what makes you unique and makes you stand out and your life. And you're like, oh God, I don't know. They're like, okay, now sell toilet paper. It's always like the randomest thing that they want you to, I don't know.
Yeah, you have to be on your toes.
Yeah.
So I just got to point out, we don't need to spend long on this, but I just love that you're from Nanaimo, home of Nanaimo bars, for anyone who's eaten Nanaimo bars.
Oh.
Are you an empress in the Nanaimo bar fortunes by any way? Like, was it your grandma's recipe, or who originated them?
No, unfortunately not. You know what? I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that you just never really, you just accept, especially living in that. You don't really, there's no like,
they fell from the
chapter
heavens
in history when you were in elementary school that's like, okay, now today we're gonna actually, maybe there was, and I just didn't pay attention, but they like go into the history of the Nanaimo bars. However, I will say that when I was younger, I could have sworn that Nanaimo bars had a mint like stuffing. Now it's like a yellow, I don't know what flavor that is. Custard, is it?
Yeah. Custard, yeah.
But I could swear it used to be mint. So somewhere down the line it changed on me. But I haven't had one in a very long time. But when I was younger, I definitely I probably had one every week. But now they're like super rich. I don't even know how I managed to do that, to eat a whole bar all to myself.
Yeah, I know how you managed. You manage because they are delicious.
They're delicious.
I believe 1 pound of butter goes into every like 1 by 2 inch.
Yeah.
It's like they're this big, but they have the weight of lead.
They're so rich. Yeah, they're really, and then the chocolate was, I think, my favorite. No, the whole thing. The chocolate to coconut to the cream ratio is really, really good.
You're right though. There was mint ones. Then there's what I would think you would call the standard ones, is more that yellowy cream one now.
Right.
And then there's peanut butter Nanaimo bars, which I don't know if is it
I
even
don't
a
know.
Nanaimo bar? Like
I was
it's
just gonna say, I don't think you can call them a Nanaimo bar now.
right,
Peanut butter.
right,
That's something else. I'm pretty sure something like that exists. A Reese's peanut butter cup.
right.
Yeah. I'd much rather have a Reese's.
Spoken like someone who's never had a Nanaimo bar.
I have had an Nanaimo bar. I just don't really like them.
Okay.
My mom is a huge fan of them. She makes them every year. She loves
What
them.
don't you like about Nanaimo bars? How dare you?
I don't know. I don't.
Are you more brownie guy, cookie guy?
I'm definitely
Art?
more of a brownie guy
I see.
and cookie guy.
So then it's that middle layer that you don't like.
But I mean, I don't mind custard. Like I like Boston cream donuts.
It's not really custard though. You're right. It's just like minty butter.
Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I need to travel to Nanaimo to really get the full experience.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Okay. See, now I have a mission.
Yeah.
There's got to be some tour, like an all-inclusive tour.
So Lars, I'm going to be taking a break from the studio. I have to go to Nanaimo.
Yeah, go right now. Now's a good time.
Yeah.
And that's been the show with Nitu from the Nanaimo. Pleasure having you here, Nitu.
I'm here, proud sponsor of the Nanaimo bars. Get yours today.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Nanaimo Bar Corporation of British Columbia.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's get down to brass tacks here. People came today to come inside the audition with Nitu Thakur. So one of my first questions for you, or our first questions, is can you talk a little bit about one of your very first audition successes?
Oh my goodness, first audition successes. I mean, I guess I could talk about the one here in Toronto because it was probably like the biggest, not the biggest, but no, not even before that. For me, I just felt like because I had moved cities so much. So, I mean, this is a piece of advice for anyone that's considering to relocate and they're an actor. Just you do set yourself back by about 2 years each time you decide to make that move, which is something I didn't realize as I was doing it. But you do need time when you move to a new city. You do need time to allow those casting networks out there to know who you are and where you fit in, and even finding if you're sticking with your agents here and you're going to a different town, they need to also know who your agent is. So that all takes time to kind of foster and develop those relationships. So when I had moved, I had some I wouldn't say success in Montreal, but I was doing like the odd actor roles. I didn't really have like a line or so, but in Toronto, when I came here, I still had my agent in Vancouver who had represented me in Montreal, but also Toronto. And there was a mixture of, being union and not being union. Anyways, there was a time where I could have gone into the union as an apprentice earlier than I did. And I chose not to because I just wasn't sure. I didn't have the full information of whether that was the right move for me at that time. Anyways, so then eventually I decided to get a Toronto agent, and I parted ways with my agent in Vancouver, who was very supportive of that. It was a clean break. There was no hard feelings there. But one of the agent that I signed with here, she, not really a stipulation, but it was, because I was non-union and they only really represented union actors, but she really liked me. And so she did say that, her main focus would be for me to get into the union as soon as possible. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And I'm very happy to say that. And I was like, I don't know if I'm impressed with myself or just the luck of the universe, but I got a TV audition for In the Dark within I think the very next week within the 3 weeks, I think it was from signing, she sent me out for In the Dark. It was an actor role, but I had one line and I booked it within 3 weeks of signing her. And I got my union credit right away, right before the end of 2019. And it was just the most amazing high. And it was such a great way to end the year because I felt, I don't know, leading up to that, I felt it was beginning to feel a little stagnant, and and I wasn't getting into the rooms that I wanted to get into, you know. And when you leave an agency to do a new one, there's a bit of nervousness of whether you're making the right move and all of that stuff. And this agency is a little bit bigger, so it was very confirming of everything. And then that was a great way to end 2019. And then 2020 happened, and we all know what happened there. But I would say that was probably in Toronto was probably like one of my biggest like successes, I should say, apart from my most recent thing. But
yeah, that's huge. That's so key. It definitely helps. Not that you need to book your first gig with a new agent, but if you do sign and then you book your first thing, it's that instant validation. They feel good, you feel good. Yeah, that's funny. And then you're like, 2020 is going to be my year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was like, what a great way to start 2020. It's going to be so good. And then, no. Right.
Derailed a little bit, but here we are. We've all survived. We all survived 2020, 21, and 22. Here we are in 2023.
And we're somewhat in 23. Who knows? We'll see.
Right. Yeah. So far, we're a third of the way, I guess, or we made it to spring. Yeah. Can you share a memorable audition experience or story?
A memorable audition experience. I don't know. It's been, because we haven't been in the rooms in so long. So self-tapes have been obviously it's you in your apartment with a reader, but I'm trying to, okay, I don't know if
He's really digging. I like it.
I don't know if
something good. Yeah.
I mean, the commercial is out now, so, and my agent, I feel like it's okay to share. I don't know. I've told Brandon the story, so I look at it like very fondly, because I think it's such a good lesson of you never know what you're going to book. Like, even the thing that you think you're not right for and you think that you're not going to book, you magically will book. So there was an audition that I did for, oh my gosh, it was a Toronto health spot that I did last. Actually, okay, this is okay. I'm realizing like all the pieces are coming together, but okay. So Rabbit Hole, which is a series that I did also last summer, that audition came around the same time that I was doing this Toronto health commercial, and it was for COVID. And when that audition came through, it had said, priority given to anyone that's a real nurse. And when I was reading the breakdown, I was a little like, this isn't me. I'm not going to get this. Like, I kind of wrote it off, and I procrastinated. It was due on like Monday morning at 10 a.m. And I like procrastinated with it, because I just was like, this is like, I'm not going to get this. They're going to give it to an actual nurse, like, blah, blah. And then I went out. I was working on Sunday night, and then I went out for some drinks with my coworkers afterwards. And I came home, and I was flying a little high. and I remembered I had this audition, and I just was like, Nitu, just do this audition. Like, just get it into your agent. Like, it was almost like you're in grade school and you just want to turn in an assignment to your teacher. You were just like, just do it. Just get it done. It's literally going to take you 10 minutes. I looked in the mirror, and my makeup from the day was like perfect still. It hadn't moved. And I just had a moment to myself where I just was like, Nitu, it's going to be 10 minutes. You're not going to want to wake up in the morning and do it in the morning and have to redo your makeup. And this way you just get it in, you can sleep in, like whatever. So I did it. There's a couple of funny bloopers of it, because I was stumbling and had to like really concentrate. And anyways, I sent it in, went to bed. 2 days later, I got a call back for it. And I was kind of laughing. I was like, oh, this is so funny. Did the callback. Wasn't high for that one, but I did the callback, and then I booked it, and which is it's just, I still look back to it and I'm so grateful now for that experience, because it was my first time booking like a hero role in a commercial. And which I didn't actually realize until I was on set that I was the main person. But it was just, I just learned so much being on that set because I was the main person. I was in every scene. So it kind of gave me that firsthand experience of, it just felt like my craft, and I just felt like a working actor in that moment where, I was like working really closely with the directors and the clients and being able to see, sometimes the vision's not the same with the client and there's clashing, and then it was like action packed. So it was like, move the gurney and hit the spot and then turn to the light and deliver your camera, but don't turn too, like, it was all of those things, which was so good for me to learn. And it was sort of low stakes in a sense. And then in that time, I got a call back for Rabbit Hole, and which I then booked. And that scene that I ended up doing was action kind of oriented, and it was with Kiefer Sutherland. So I had to kind of like hold my ground. But I'm so grateful for that commercial experience that I had before, because if I hadn't had that, I think I would have been a wreck on Rabbit Hole, because I just would have been too nervous, I think. So it's just so funny, the things that you get that help set you up along the way. So like, never take for granted those, even commercials, like the randomest things that you think that you're not going to get, but and I'm just so grateful. So I think that's a memory that I'll always think fondly of because of that.
I'm giving you snaps for that. Yeah, that's so great. Has that experience of, I'm never going to get this, what's the point? Who cares, to booking it, has that changed your outlook when you get anything now moving forward?
Yes and no. Sometimes I still do get a little like, I'm not gonna book this type of thing, but I think I still pushed myself. I don't leave it quite to the last, like I don't do like what I did with that commercial anymore. Like, even if I think like I'm not right for it, I still, like, actually just recently I had a call back for something that I for sure thought I wasn't right for, and I had a call back for. And even there was like a commercial audition I did RBC where I'm coming out of a grocery store. I'm in it for like 2 seconds, but even that one I didn't think I was gonna get. I had the callback was with the director live on Zoom, and it was probably one of the first commercials in COVID. So everyone's getting used to like self tapes and live Zoom auditions and things like that. And it was so, I thought the director didn't like me. Like, I just felt like we weren't vibing. And I messaged my agent right away and I was like, I'm not booking this because we didn't get like, I just felt like the energy didn't match. And I don't know if it's because it was over a computer screen, but I just was like, I'm not getting this. And then like 4 days later, she's like, you booked it. And I was like, oh, okay. So you just never know. There's things that you're just like, no, I absolutely know I'm not going to get this. But then there's things you just really just don't know. Yeah.
You know what you are, Nitu? You're a reverse manifester. You just say, I'm not going to get this thing.
Yeah.
And you get the thing.
Yeah.
Nope, not going to get this.
Yeah.
Boop, you get it.
Well, it's like that. It's like that Robert. I don't know if you've seen that Robert De Niro like a video clip that's like, any audition you get, just tell yourself you're not going to get the part. Like, you're just not going to get it, because then it just frees you up and it takes the pressure. And like, I think maybe that's what it is. It just like, it freed me up and it took the pressure off, and I don't know. So I don't know how good of advice that is, but it kind of felt like that, where I just was like, well, I'm not going to get this. And then boom.
Right. I mean, I think for most people, it's you figure out what works for you and what feels good for you, and if it's feeling good and working versus feeling bad. For me, I'm more like, there's something to say about wanting it, but it's got to be detached. Like, you can't want it too much, because then it stresses you out and you might get nervous, anxious energy. Or if you do it and then think about it and ruminate about it and make it the biggest thing. Like that kind of energy isn't,
Yeah.
it's just not good energy. But I mean, if it's something that you want, you go get it. But it's that weird fine line. I don't know how to, everyone knows that. Like, when you don't care, but you can't not care so much that you have shitty lighting and shitty sound, and you didn't learn the lines, and you didn't put any effort into it. So it's
I've never gotten there. Like I will,
right, of course.
If I don't care about, like, if I don't care, but I'm still an actor. Like I still have to, it's my job to learn my lines and hit my mark and deliver, you know? So it's like, I would never put something send in a tape where I'm stumbling or you know, or I can't be bothered, or I'm like with my paper and you know, that's not to say that having your script is a bad thing, but if it's, you know, 1 or 2 lines and you can't be bothered to learn it, like,
you got to do what you got to do. Now I know that you're one of, with the Actors Audition Club, you're one of our unique members who have been strictly virtual sessions via Zoom. You've spent a lot of time with Brandon here. Brandon's worked with you a lot. So Brandon, can you talk a little bit about your process working with Nitu and vice versa? As I know you guys had a lot of fun shooting a lot of auditions over the past couple years.
Oh yeah, Nitu, you're always fantastic. I always look forward to our sessions, and we always have a nice chat before. And sometimes we get into little arguments about how we want to do things, and like, but it's always a good creative energy where like there's like, well, no, I don't like that because of blah blah blah, and well, I like this because of blah blah blah. Oh, okay, well, maybe we can find a fine median in there, and like it's always great. It's always a really fun time. And you know, sometimes there's always a little wine every now and again, and that's
to loosen me up, you know. Especially if I'm nervous about something. It's like, as Brandon knows, like I just have, or if there's I don't know, I'm a method actor, okay? So if she's drinking whiskey in the scene, you best believe I'm drinking whiskey.
Yeah, you gotta drink whiskey. When it calls for it, you gotta do it.
Sometimes it's like I mean, it just helps to like loosen me up. But I will say that Brandon, I booked Rabbit Hole through Brandon. Like he was with me from the very beginning, from like when I first got the first audition to having to do a retape, and it went off to the producers, and it was Brandon, the whole thing. So Rabbit Hole was like the first thing that I booked through with you guys. So, so that was really great. And I remember messaging him and being like, "Oh my God, Brandon!"
I remember us having to do that scene 3 different ways, and like you had it all planned out, and you were like, "Okay, so this way is gonna happen like this, and then I need to mess up my shirt for this scene because it has to be like that." Oh, it was great.
Because I had her, because they didn't like, they just said I was like a detective, so they didn't really say. Normally, you know, you get like the descriptive character of like, oh, she's bubbly and she's this and she's like, they didn't really have that for her. And I didn't really know what time of day this was taking place. I didn't really know. So I just was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to give them 3 different versions of her. I don't think I did that in the initial tape, but I did it in the callback tape. And I just did it. So the coffee one, I just pictured, you know, all those cop shows with like overweight white detective, and he's like grumbling to the desk, and he takes a sip of coffee and he spills it. He takes a paper and he's like wiping it off, and he's like, "Yeah, this is Joe. What do you want?" You know. so I was like trying to pick like that, and
because did casting ask you to do it 3 different ways, or did you just did you plan to do it 3 different ways?
I think I planned it.
I think you planned
3 different ways.
I
think that was one of the auditions that it was weird because I just felt like I fully saw the scene, I guess. Whereas normally sometimes I get auditions and I'm just like, I don't know what they want. What is this scene? I could do it like this, or I could do it like this, but which way is the right way? I don't know, you know. And not that there's a right way, but I just, with that audition, for some reason, I just was very clear about okay, I want to do it like this and this and this. And I think I also had a moment where, and I think I said this to you, Brandon, I'm not sure, but we had been doing self tapes for over a year now. And I don't think that I allowed myself to play. And that scene allowed me to, I just gave myself permission to play with that audition. Because I just was like, I'm at home. Like, why wouldn't I use, like, not things that are distracting to the tape, but why wouldn't I use things that would give life to the scene? Like, why would I just have it like just me in this back wall and play it straight on an, like, pretend I'm at a desk. I'll have a fake phone, use my phone, And for me, I think it wasn't so much about winning the audition, but it was almost, this sounds so cliche to say, but it wasn't about winning the audition. It was more of giving the casting director something entertaining to watch, because I just like, they're going to watch the same type of tape over and over and over again. And I guess it was kind of risky for me to do it the way that I did it. But I mean, I booked the job, so
that's wicked. That's like couple things. One of our favorite things in life here at Actors Audition Club is getting the good news when you book. We always freak out over that, and I send messages to Brandon. He sends messages to me. We send emails back. So thank you for letting us know about that. Yeah, that's great.
And like, I think there's always, especially when you're doing good work, there's always a lot of risk involved.
Yeah.
And like, the more you're willing to risk, the better the outcome's going to be. Yeah. Because you're on that edge. You're always teetering on that edge. And like, that's always engaging because you never know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. And I had fun with it. I think that was, I feel like I remember telling you, Brennan, I was like, oh my God, this is fun. Let's do this again. It's one of those auditions where you're just kind of like, this is why I'm an actor, because I love it. Like, I love this, like, let's do it again. Let's see what else I can do with it,
That's really one of
the show hadn't come out at that point, so we didn't know anything about this show at all.
Season. Yeah. I didn't even know Kiefer Sutherland was in it. Like, I saw that he was the executive producer, but I didn't know that he was starring in it. And I didn't know that my scene was with him until Wardrobe.
Yep.
Nice.
And then I was kind of like, oh, okay. So, yeah. And I don't think even when it just came out like 3 weeks ago now, 3, 4, I mean, I still have moments where I have to like kind of pat myself on the back a little bit, or just be like, Nitu, this was actually a really big booking. Like, it's a big American network TV show. They have like Charles Dance from Game of Thrones in it, and it Maida Golding from Empire. Obviously Kiefer Sutherland from Designated Survivor and 24. Like, to be in a scene with them and to be on set with all of them, like, it's crazy that, when it's happening during the moment, you don't grasp the enormity of what it is that I just booked until like now it's a year. Like, I went to my first like kind of screen premiere, which is crazy to see myself on a big screen, and it's a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Me too, Thakur, everyone.
Yeah.
Round of applause. And what's really cool about that is that like you're saying that's really the biggest, most high profile, probably highest budget thing that you've done.
Yeah.
And you got it by playing the most. Like you got it rather than getting stressed out and being like, oh my God, this is a big thing. This is a big deal. I got to make sure I really nail it and don't make a mistake. You got it by like, you know what? I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to make something that's entertaining, show the casting director what I can do, how I can hold a frame. And that's probably why you booked it. Unleashing yourself like that. I love that. That's I feel like that's the only surefire way to make sure you're enjoying everything is you have to enjoy the process of auditioning, that this is a time to play. This is a time to create. One of our coaches, Tom Todoroff, is always, it's called a play. It's not called a serious. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be joyful. Yeah. And that's probably, if you were to ask like how do you do well at auditioning? Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like the same advice for everything in life. Oh, you should probably be enjoying it and being playful and having fun.
Yeah.
We have a special guest that we want to bring into the studio here because she has worked with you many a time internationally over the borders from New York City. It's
Oh my God.
Erin Elizabeth Reed.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Oh my God. I was gonna message you to be like, I miss you so much.
I know, I think about you often, and I'm so happy to be here. I was tearing up backstage listening to this last little story of yours. It just, you hit me in all the heart muscles, Nitu. You always do, and I'm just so happy and excited and proud of you. Oh God, you're bringing me on. I'm gonna cry.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, just the other day, I was like, I want to text Erin just to be like, I miss you. I'm like, maybe she might think that's weird because.
Yeah. Well, I saw that you had your Rabbit Hole premiere up, and I didn't realize that you had booked it last year. So I thought it was a more recent booking, and I was like, well, I haven't heard from her because she's been on set working with Kiefer Sutherland. So it's all good.
No, I booked it. Yeah, that was last March, I think.
Yeah.
March, April. So it's been almost over a year now. And it's funny because I have like, I didn't take a lot of pictures, but because I still get nervous about the like no pictures on set. So like, obviously if it's of myself, I've taken photos, but I don't post it until it comes out. So a lot of people are always like, oh, you just booked. I'm like, no, I did this like a year ago.
It's hard as an actor to have to sit on our successes like that publicly. In a profession, in any artistic profession, I think, but in a profession where celebrating yourself can be difficult anyway, and then to have the professional mandate really to not shout it from the rooftops when that's all you want to do. It can be hard. I'm curious, like, how did it feel with the premiere coming out now after so much time having elapsed from the high of the booking? Like, what was that experience for you coming back to it after so much time?
It's definitely exciting. Like I kind of mentioned before, I don't think I realized the enormity of it until now, because Maida Golding is somebody that I worked really closely with, and she's obviously the star of the show, and on Instagram, so I can see she's going on press tour with it. So seeing her in Times Square, I don't know if you've seen it, Erin, being in New York, but like huge rabbit hole billboards taking over Times Square, and like Paramount Plus's Instagram shuts down and devotes it just to rabbit. Like, it's just, I mean, she must feel on top of the world, and I mean, I kind of feel on top of the world through her, but I don't think I understand, like, I got it. And it's also kind of nice to come back to it now because people know what the show is now. Whereas before, when I was like, yeah, I did this thing with Kiefer Sutherland, it's called Rabbit Hole, they're just kind of like, oh, okay, like what, So now it's nice to say it, and people have an understanding. And it's also nice too because it's been on my resume for almost a year now, and no one's they haven't had a show to associate it to.
Yeah.
So now I feel, or at least I hope now, that when I go out for future auditions, they can see it and be like, oh, okay, she was part of this production, and she worked with these people, and like, okay, and then as far as celebrating, to your point on that, and I actually went out, so I ran into at the premiere, I ran into another actor that was on set on the same day that I was there. And we ended up going out for, I think 2 weeks ago, we just were like, let's meet up and let's go for dinner and stuff. So we did that, and we were just at a bar restaurant just downtown. And the Rabbit Hole preview came up in the restaurant. Yes. And he was kind of feeling a little like, oh, like, and I was like, you know what? F it. you know, we worked really hard to get on that show. And I was like, let's raise a glass and celebrate. And there was like people next to us, and I shamelessly was like, we're in this, like, you know? I just like, why do we not get to celebrate that? Like, because we're actors, or I feel like people look at us like, oh, they're so actor, you know, but it's like, no, we work hard, and it's a big show, and hopefully more to come, but you know, you want to enjoy it, you know, as it happens, you know, and it plays at my work sometimes, the preview, and I don't say it at work, but the preview comes on and I have an inner moment that's a little like, I'm in that.
you don't know it yet, but you're walking by a future celebrity.
Exactly. Do you want me to sign that for you? You better keep it. It's gonna be
Yeah, that's a great question, Aaron. It is an interesting phenomenon, the time delay. Like, you want to celebrate it, and it is huge internally. You're like, yeah, I booked it. If you're lucky, you get paid early on too, but then so much waiting to see it. Sometimes so much, like it could be if it's a film, could be a couple years, 3 years.
Yeah.
I shot a feature that was over 5 years, and it's still in post-production, kind of for a variety of reasons. And then, so you don't get the full celebration and the repercussions. Like, everyone also wants, like, you want to go to the premiere, you want to go to the red carpet, you want to get the clips so that you can update your demo reel, and then so people know what it is, so they can be like, oh, Rabbit Hole, yeah, that's that a hit show, instead of, oh, that's that new thing that nobody knows about. But then by the time it comes out, you're an evolved person, and then so you wait that whole time, and then you go look at it, and the trap is, a lot of the times, if you don't celebrate yourself, you can just look at it and be like, oh man, I sucked back then.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't like that version. Yeah.
How do you do that?
I could do that again right now. I'd really nail it.
Yeah. But it's a little dissociative, you know, like you can't fully enjoy the experience while you're having it because you're working, and then later you're not necessarily guaranteed to have that shining mountaintop moment. So find ways to like have your mountaintop privately, celebrate in the bar, you know.
Well, I was telling my friend because he was feeling so sheepish about it, and I was like, being an actor is so weird, because for other people, in order to like qualify you with being an actor, they need to see it, you know. Otherwise, it's like they're like, oh, you're in this show that we like, then you must not be an actor. But if you tell somebody I'm a lawyer, people aren't like, well, what's the most recent case did you win? Like, this case versus this case, were you on that? Like, you know, they don't say, oh, then you must not be a lawyer because you haven't heard these cases. Do you know what I mean? Like,
truth.
So weird. It's so weird. In order to be deemed a successful actor, people they have to know who you are and what your work is. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. Like, tell me your resume, and then we'll say you're an actual actor.
Oh yeah, you're a lawyer? Which courtroom would I have seen you in?
You know, this judge, I was up against this judge last month, and like, he's a real hard ass.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's true.
What else do we want to talk about here? Let's talk about dream aspirations and dream projects. Nitu, let's manifest, or we'll do the Nitu style reverse manifest. Just tell us what you do not want to happen in your life, and it will happen. What's one of your dream project roles, if you could just map it out and script it, and the universe delivers it?
Well, I honestly would love to produce, star in my own show. This is sort of a little bit of getting in my own way with it, in terms of a lot of self-doubt, and I've been like writing here and there, but I've never seen through it. But ideally, I would love to have a show that's, I want to say like HBO style, kind of like Insecure meets, I guess, I don't know, Mindy Project Girls type thing. But I want it to be about my life. Well, loosely based on my life. There'll be like exaggerated moments and things like that. But I would love for it to be based in Toronto, and like how Sex and the City, how New York is such character in of itself in the show, I'd love to backdrop Toronto in the same fashion. Yeah, and I mean, this kind of, you had asked me this earlier, but that's basically how I created my Instagram handle, was the Diary of a Single Brown Female, because one day that's what I would like it to be called, and it'd be like, get your SPF on, or and something like that. But yeah, that would be my ultimate dream. So
there you go, universe. Now say, I will not ever star in my own show, Single Brown Female. Diary of a Single. I love that name, Diary of a Single Brown Female. It's great.
I want to share for you, Nitu, and I'll throw it up in the comments too for anybody watching this podcast. There's a group. They're based out of New York City, but they have chapters, I think, in Los Angeles, and also anyone from around the world can join in virtually. The Women's Weekend Film Challenge is a fantastic organization, and there's so much more to the group than just this, but I just got their newsletter last night. They're hosting a 30-day like write your pilot in 30 days program. It's launching in May. And if you're interested, Nitu, just as a primer to get some ideas flowing and some accountability down on paper, I'm going to drop the link in the comments if I can, or I'll throw it in the private chat, and Brandon, you can put it
in the comments. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I can't comment.
Oh,
that's the only problem. I'll throw it in the private chat, and
you throw it in the private
chat. Throw it in the private chat. I'll put it on the comments.
But yeah, it sounds like a really exciting opportunity. Maybe you
no, thank you for that. Yeah, sounds just right up my alley and what I need, and to push myself. And there's I don't know, a lot of self-doubt.
It ends here. It's not helping you.
No, I know. I was at the Canadian Screen Awards. No, that's something else. Canadian Film Fest, just a couple weeks ago, and I taught, the organizer was there, and so I spoke to him afterwards, and I just was like, if I want this to be me next year, like, how do I get there? What do I need to do? And he's like, you need to write. He's like, start writing. And he's like, and don't worry about writing to show somebody. Don't write about, just write it, and then make it. And it could be shit, and it can be, but you just get into that practice of writing. But I was like, but I'm by myself. He's like, that's fine. Just use your phone and film yourself. And so I'm trying to, that's, I guess, my goal for this year is to create. It doesn't have to be my show. If I can get the pilot, I mean, if follow Aaron's thing and get that would be great.
Right.
But I would love.
You mean when, not if. You mean when.
When.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I was thinking about this, and I think all of us in life and in any avenue, not just artists, but probably more so in artists and actors, how we have these stories. Like, often, as much as we occasionally think that there's other outside forces holding us down, it's mostly up here. Like, it's our own. The number one thing holding you back in your career right now is for sure your own self-doubt.
Yeah.
And it's all things that are swirling up here, the identity that you have, obviously things like your habits and your little bit of your work ethic and your training and all those things, but the amount of things that we could control. And one of them is what's the way to put it? Like, it's amazing how we fight for stories about ourselves that don't serve us.
Yeah.
Like, we tell ourselves a story. Oh, I'm not, that's too much for me. I would never be the star. Or I could never write it. It's too much.
Yeah.
Who am I to write it? I've never written anything before. Like, any stories that don't put you in a position to move forward and to get the things you want.
Yeah.
Often it's because you're telling yourself an alternate story, a belief that isn't really reality. It's just something somebody said or something you thought one time. And then it runs in your head as the idea. This is who I am. This is the story that I follow, rather than change that story.
Well, there's a podcast that I'm listening to that it's called Unfuck Your Brain. Sorry, I don't know if I can.
Nice.
but it's by Kara Lowenthal. I highly recommend it. And she teaches a lot of like thought work and having to work to stop allowing yourself to think like that. And I was just listening to one this morning, and one thing that stood out to me was she said that sometimes the reason that we avoid, yes, there's self-doubt, but it's more of if something fails, it's not so much the failure, but it's how we feel in the moment of what we think is a fail. Like if we do a project and it fails, we can recognize that it fails, but it's our negative thought that we get immediately after that. So that's one of the reasons why we don't pursue something, because it's we're mostly trying to avoid that negative thought rather than the project itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That made sense to me. I was kind of like, oh my God, yeah, that's totally it. It's not about it failing. It's me being like, you're an idiot. Like, why would you think? Like, that's how I am with this, my show that I want to create. I'm like, part of it is like, why do you think that your show is going to get picked up? And like, what is it about you and your story that you have? You think you, out of everyone out there that's also trying to create and put their show, like, it's going to be you. And like, you know, so that's a lot of like, and I'm like, you'd have no experience in script writing. What, you think you're just going to be able to write this and it's going to be, you know, right. So it's a lot of that. But I mean, it does happen. I mean, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck wrote their first screenplay, and it got picked up. I mean, you know, they were, I mean, I guess a little bit of luck and whatever, but I just think of it. It does happen, you know, and what am I going to do? Not try and know, and or just sit here and wonder, you know, like.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing too is like you can never be sure what timeline anything is going to come to fruition in your life, except the things that you never take action on. So, you know, like just because it's your first stab at something and it doesn't get picked up right away, if it's really in your, you know, close to your heart, then you're probably more likely to come back to it and keep working and finding help and up-leveling your skills and making connections to advance the project and see it through. And you know, it happens. Like I spend make sure to spend a lot of time in Central Park among the trees, and I just noticed the other day, like, the biggest trees catch your eye. But if you just step back and look, like there's trees of all different levels of growth happening, and some are just seedlings. And that big tree that's providing so much shade and, you know, nuts for the squirrels and, you know, kind of lording over the space, like it started out as a seedling too. It didn't just appear that way. So,
well, and to add to that too, if we can take it almost a step further, of those trees are providing growth for the smaller trees to make their own way. And maybe those smaller trees couldn't push their way through until that big tree made the way for them. Do you know what I mean? So that's sort of how I feel too, because sometimes I'm just like, you know, I wanted to be part of this wave. I knew, like, when I was 10 years old, like I knew there was going to be this wave of South Asian actors. I mean, it's not, you know, not a huge wave, but they're more prominent now in today than there were back 20 years ago. But I knew that was coming, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I'm not a part of it, and I'm here. And someone said to me, they were like, well, no, you're going to be part of like the second and third wave, and they're usually bigger than the first, but the first wave needed to happen to make room for the next, you know. Anyway, so that's just something that so it's like the tree, you know, like those big trees had to push through the dirt and the earth to and then they're like giving nutrients to the plants and the trees underneath, so then they can grow and get stronger as well.
It's giving back, communicating through the root system. The other thing I struggle with too is feeling like, well, I know I'm on my journey and I have greater places to be, but because I'm not at my ultimate, you know, max height, I don't have anything worth offering. And realizing like, oh no, there's always somebody coming up behind that could benefit from where I'm at. I don't have to wait to share my gift until I'm, the massive tree in the park.
Mm-hmm.
But Aaron, like, I admire you so much because I feel like you took a really big leap of faith. Weren't you like in law or something before?
Oh yeah.
and you left that to pursue this, and like that's so crazy and amazing to be able to do that. Like,
Oh, thanks.
Did you have, what was your I don't know, did you have any, obviously probably fear or doubt, or like what was the thing that finally pushed you into like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go after it?
Well, like, because this is your podcast, Nitu. But the short answer is, after wading through enough fear and self-doubt, I realized there just came a point where I realized one day my life is going to end. And I was more afraid of dying and feeling regret that I hadn't actually done anything that I really felt called to do. And it was worth everything else to at least make an attempt, try my hand, go for it. Because if I failed, then I could at least say, you know what, I tried.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out for me the way I wanted it to, but at least I would never feel regret that I had never tried for myself.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, once you start, I
can't get to you, Lars. I'm sorry.
Magnol.
Not in the corner.
If you're only listening right now, you're missing out. I'm sorry. We're doing this visual gag. Picture 4 squares.
They're listening in now, and all they see is this. Like.
Yeah, that's great.
Once you start doing for yourself, I think it becomes easier and easier to keep that ball rolling.
Yeah. Nothing. That's called mortality motivation. I've heard it said.
Yeah.
The motivation of mortality. Yeah. So many good lessons. Everyone's spitting fire today. There's pearls of wisdoms dropping. High vibes. It's a high vibe podcast, cross-border podcast. I love that. That Nitu and Aaron, you're Nitu here in Toronto, Aaron in New York City. Never met, been in the same room, but already have a growing friendship and professional relationship as well too. So yeah, this is great. Good stuff happening here. To further what you said, Nitu, as well as I think a lot of the times the trap is the tendency is you compare wherever you are now to someone else's. Like you look at an A-lister or someone who's been in the business 50 years and they're at, or people have said it like you compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 30, and that's where some of that gap comes in, rather than celebrate your successes. And same thing with you, Aaron. It's easy. It's such a weird. It's our ego. It's our weird brain trying to keep us safe and keep us out of trouble and instead of saber-tooth tigers, now it's just the unknown general fear of, I don't know what the future holds, so I'll be afraid of it. Mixed with not celebrating all your past wins. Like every once in a while, you do got to think and take some time to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not quite. There's still a lot of things in my journey that I want to achieve and things that I want to get after. But also when I take a look back and take stock of what I have done and things I've experienced and wins and all those things, be like, yeah, I've already done some shit here. This is like celebrate everything that you've done up until this point regularly, even celebrating auditions. We often talk about the last step in your audition checklist. Once you walk away and it's been sent off to your agent, is go take yourself out for a fancy coffee or a mimosa or a little what do they call it? Shopping therapy or something like that. You celebrate those victories. Because what's the saying? There's a saying like the young version of you, like the version of you 10 years ago, would have dreamed to be who are you right now. But by the time you get to who you are right now, we take it all for granted and we're just focusing on the next thing. So
that's so true, because sometimes when I'm in like a circle of, I mean, I guess negativity about myself, or I do think about that a lot, because my auditions now, I'm very happy to say they've progressed to like principal, to series regular or reoccurring, and they're like much bigger roles. And as Aaron knows, and Brandon, it's like now they're like 8 pages and 2 scenes, and they're very long. And sometimes I'm kind of like, oh my God, like I wish I just had that actor role where it was just the one line, it's like so. But then I have to take a moment and be like, no, Nitu, like 5-6 years ago, even you were just getting SOC. You were like, you could barely get the one, and like now you're where you wanted to be 6 years ago. And like, because when I'm wrapped up with thinking that I'm not progressing as an actor, and I'm just kind of like, no, but those are the auditions you're getting is your sign that you are progressing, and you have made progress from where you were 5-6 years ago. So I do have to constantly remind myself of that, and I wouldn't be getting those auditions if I wasn't progressing. So
yeah, it's our weird human, like, I need more. I want more pages, more screen time, bigger roles, bigger names.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, when I left that premiere, I definitely felt like that. I walked out of Scotiabank Theater and I just was like, I want more. I want a full scene. How do I get there?
opens the double doors, like pushes out.
Oh, check it out. It's Nitu Thakur. I heard she only walks on red carpets.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. Good ones, guys. Can you talk a little bit? We do like to have a little segment with all of our guests, just a little bit about your process from the time you get an audition, get the breakdown from your agent, to the time you shoot it. And I know that you've often worked with Brandon and Aaron, or whoever the session directors are, but please share.
It's definitely evolved over I guess the 5-6 years. But now I think what I like to do is, and especially with self-tapes now, you get a couple days in between before they're actually due. So I think the first thing I do is like, okay, when is my coach available? And then I look at the time, and then I try to book them right away. And then what I'm finding, I think I've really only started doing this in the last year, is I usually sit with the script for about a day. So I will go through it. I'll read it. I'll kind of read what the character breakdown is. If it's a TV show, I'll try to look up what the TV show is, try to figure out what the genre is, just to see what kind of world I'm living in. But then I'll read through the script, but not to memorize it, but just to obviously understand what's happening in the scene, and just to read through it, and then see if I can figure out if there are any like big moments that are happening. And then I leave it. I go for a walk. I don't even look at it until maybe the next day. And then I just kind of think about it as I'm walking. And for some reason, it just like, it helps with my memorization of the scripts when I'm like out for a walk and I think about the scene, and I'm thinking like, again, not even just trying to memorize a script, but just being like, okay, who is she talking to here? What's happening here? And how am I feeling here? Okay. And then I just go, I kind of just go through it, and I just feel like it evolves then. And then I look at the script, I feel like I can memorize the lines better. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's I just feel like I get a better understanding of what's going on for me. And then usually if I have Brandon or Aaron out, then at the beginning of the session, I'll say like, this is what I think is happening. Sometimes I'll get their input right away, or sometimes I'll be like, you know what, can we just do what I think like right away and then we work it from there. And then normally sometimes we come together and we're able to piece together, and Aaron usually gives me these amazing nuggets of things that I don't even realize is happening. And so that's been really great. But I find that I've definitely shifted in. Before I would get the script and I would stress and be like, oh my God, it's 6 pages. And then I was like, I'm stressfully trying to memorize the lines and all of that stuff. And so rather than it being a stressful experience, now I take my time with it too. And yeah. So I just do it.
Beautiful.
Do it now.
Love it.
Yeah. I think you're able to take some time because you have a process. Like in your head, when you get one, you have a system, you have something that you follow. You're not doing it haphazardly every time. You got what works. You got your walks. I love walks. Actor walks.
Yeah, I'm usually out. Yeah, obviously I have a dog, so it's like I'm out twice a day, 3 times a day. And I don't really know. I don't think that was like a conscious decision. Like, I don't think I had an audition where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk and sit on it. I think it just kind of, I don't know, it just happened naturally for me. And then I think after a couple of auditions, I realized, I was like, oh my God, the lines are sticking in my brain better this way than when I'm sitting at home and I'm just like, record the other side and then I'm regurgitating the line because I don't think I gave myself time to have what I'm saying stick to what's going on, because I think I was focusing on memorizing the lines and then figuring out what's happening in the scene. But for me, I think it's actually the opposite. It's like figuring out what's happening in the scene, and then that lends to, which I feel like is Actor 101, because obviously like what's happening is how you're going to say something, right? But it's easy to kind of forget even just those like simple things. But
I think that's a huge trap, really. A lot of people mistakenly think the job is let's memorize lines, and then but it's like, what's actually going on here? What is this scene?
And I'm not always 100% on the line. Like sometimes I think I did, I don't know, was it Aaron? Or maybe, I can't remember. But I remember doing an audition, and then I think after like 3 or 4 takes, I was stumbling on, there was just like a certain line I was stumbling on. And then Aaron's like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, it's this? I've been saying this wrong this whole time. I didn't even realize. I was like, in my brain, I was convinced. I mean, the gist of it was the same, but in terms of, how, sometimes you have to be as closely to the script as you can. But it was just really funny. It was like,
I do remember. I do remember that moment. Yeah.
I was like, I could have swore it was. So, because it changed. It's, and I think that changed what the scene was. Because the moment that you realize, oh, I've been saying this wrong, and it's actually this. And then I think when that happened, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. Like I was like, now I understand why she's saying this, and things like that. So. But yeah, I mean, if I had to give any advice, I would say to take your time with the script and to understand what the show is and what's happening, and make choices for yourself, and then go into the script and try to learn your lines. And so, but that's something I learned over time. That's not like, I'm not.
Good. Love it.
Yeah.
Can you share that you've shared lots of advice and pearls of wisdom and nuggets here? Truth nuggets, I think, is the official name. But can you share some advice that you would give to your past self?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Oh my goodness. Advice for my past self. I mean, I think it's advice that I'm even giving to my present self, and that's just to trust the timing of my life. To not be so hard on myself, to Lars, you kind of said this, don't compare your chapter to other people's chapter, because even your chapter 1 looks different from somebody else's chapter 1, you know, and that can be really hard, because somebody that's just decided to be an actor like 6 years ago, and now they're booking like leads and things, and you've been doing this for 10, 15 years and you're still trucking away with it. Past artist self. Yeah, I think, just to be kind to yourself. I feel like I've grown so much. I'm trying to think about, just to be kind to yourself, and just to trust. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Be kind and trust.
Yeah.
And eat more Nanaimo bars.
Eat more Nanaimo. No, don't.
Just another way.
No, don't.
They're organic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show today, Nitu.
Thank you for having me.
Always great to share some time with you. I'm I gotta say, a little jelly that Aaron and Brandon have got to spend so much time with you, but I'm friends with you vicariously through them here, so I don't get to see you as much in the sessions, but it's lovely to have you here in person with us today. Where's the best place for people to find you and connect with you online?
That would be Instagram, probably, the Diary of a Single Brown Female. It's the diary _SBF. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, make sure you subscribe. And this podcast episode, it'll be out next week on all podcast platforms. So whatever you're listening on it right now, maybe you're listening in the future. It could be you're listening to this episode in year 2057 right now on your podcast device.
Wow.
And
make sure
Nitu is a big tree.
Yeah.
And Nitu is a big tree. And you're like, oh my God, I saw this episode. Nitu, what? He had self-doubt?
Yeah.
She has that show. She has her own show, Diary of a Single White. Not white. That I got it all wrong there.
No.
Diary of a Single.
Yeah.
Diary of a Single Brown.
Yeah. It's funny though, because that is like the inspiration of it, was because there was a girl that I worked with. She's like a good friend of mine now, but she's so, when you meet a human being and they just radiate this amazing energy, and I was kind of like in love with her a little bit, because I just wanted everything. She was just so cool and effortless, and she just was this magnetic ball of energy, and people just radiated to her, gravitated to her. And I remember she would wear things, and I said to her, I was like, I want to just copy what you're doing. And I'm like, you would wear your hair up, I'm going to wear my hair up, and you have this cool leopard jacket, I want this cool. And then I told her, I was like, I'm going to single white female your ass. And I was like, but I'm brown, so I'm a brown female your ass. And then she was like, that actually sounds like that could be a name for a show. And I was like, you're not wrong there. And then I latched onto it. So
it is. We also wanted to share something special that's been going on here at the studio. Aaron, do you want to share a little bit about Tune Up Tuesdays? And Nitu, maybe you can join us for some of these too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. So here at Actors Audition Club on Tuesday mornings, I'm hosting a virtual voice and speech workout. It lasts about 30-45 minutes. We start at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time on Tuesdays. And so it's free to join, free to participate, drop in and drop out from week to week as you like. There's no commitment. And it's just a way to, as us actors, to stay accountable and in a practice of getting connected and warmed up with our vocal instrument and our breath, because these are the primary tools of our trade. Yes, the heart muscle, but it doesn't matter if we're feeling it if we can't express it. So please join us on Tuesday mornings at 9:30 online, starting at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time on Tuesdays.
Yes. And occasionally Luna is there as well. it's a great warm-up. It's a great workout, great start to the day, kind of half meditation, half visualization. Open up your body, open up your voice. The Tuesday morning ones, those are free, and we'll do those for 45 minutes. And then at the end, we do 15 minutes of general Q&A, audition Q&A, so you can bring your burning Q&A questions. And then in person here in Toronto on Thursdays, Thespian Thursdays. Brandon, you want to talk about Thespian Thursdays?
We're gonna be doing those on Thursdays. I'm gonna be leading a voice and speech workout for about 30 minutes or so, and then we're gonna be doing monologue and scene work. So if you have a monologue or scene that you want to work on in front of a camera, I go through all the mechanics of how to do self-tapes and all that sort of stuff while you're in the session with us. And so, like, if you want to learn how to use the depth of camera or any technical skills, we also have a Q&A session at the end as well. So join us for Thespian Thursdays in Toronto from 6 to 9 p.m. and we'll hone that craft of yours.
Hone it, yes. And more to come. More cities to come, more time slots to come. Just more, because we can never get enough because we're humans and we want more.
Yeah.
All right. And I should we'll do a final plug here, Brandon. I'm doing a stand-up show. I'm headlining Friday Night Comedy this Friday, April 14th in Ajax, Ontario, about an hour outside Toronto. I'll be at the Hunt Street Tap and Grill at 9 p.m. That's 44 Hunt Street, an aptly named Tap and Grill. What street is it on? Well, what street is the Hunt Street Tap and Grill on? Is it on Hunt Street? It's still on Hunt Street. 44 Hunt Street. You can reserve your seats. They're doing it old school. You got a phone to reserve a seat. You can call 905-239-0304, but only if you're listening to this or watching this before April 14th. If you're listening to this in the year 2057 and Nitu Thakur is a big star and she's starring in Diary of a Single Brown Female, then you've missed it. You've missed the show in Ajax. Yeah. But if you can come Friday, grab tickets and reserve them. Friday Night Comedy. Bam. There it is.
Bam.
And now get rid of that poster for a second. And now I think the outro is we all find our high five partners. And
nope. Wait, what?
There you go.
Oh, I don't know what hand. Oh, there we go.
Yay! There you go. Don't leave me hanging here. And now in the corner, where's the corner? Everyone find the corner. Yeah, there you go. The top corner. There you go. Yeah. Hands in. Hands in. There you go. Seriously, if you're just listening to this podcast right now, you're missing so much. You got to tune in live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. You're missing all these visual gags. It's almost like we're actors, huh?
Or mimes.
Almost.
All right.
We would be really bad mimes because we're doing a lot of talking. The Failed Mimes Club.
I was actually thinking
couldn't stop talking.
Starting a mime podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yep. The failed mimes.
Mimes Anonymous.
Tune in for an hour of silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Video podcast. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Inside the Audition. We love you, Nitu. Signing off for Brandon and Aaron. Final words?
Enjoy this weather. It's so gorgeous out.
Enjoy the weather. Spring is
Go lay underneath a tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lay under a tree.
Yeah.
Be the tree.
Be the tree.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's a crane, but that's okay.
All right. Goodbye.
Congrats again, Nitu. This was so proud and happy for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tune into Rabbit Hole on Paramount Plus to see Nitu in episode 2.
Yeah.
Even any other episodes, Nitu?
Just in episode 2 for now.
In episode 2.
Yeah, I like that. For now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
They haven't killed me or anything, so
She'll
There's
be back.
We'll see.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
bye, bye.